Hello, everyone, and welcome into the Proverbs 31 Woman. I am so excited to be here with you today. My name is Dr. Tabitha Russell, and we're going to jump right in on talking about the self care code. One thing that I do understand is that the Proverbs 31 woman understands that she stewards herself well, and it begins with her, right? Meaning that you know the time where you need to, hit the pause button or you need to take a time out. But one thing that sometimes we feel a little selfish about is practicing self care, right? Taking time out for yourself, doing the things that make you the most happiest, or you may feel like that you don't have the enough time in your day or enough hours in the week for you to set aside some time for yourself. Well, today we're going to talk about that and why that is so important. And we're going to start it off with scripture. 1 Corinthians 3:16 says, "Know ye not that ye are the temple of God, and that the Spirit of God dwelleth in you," meaning that it's okay for you to take out some time for yourself because you house so much goodness on the inside and you're so many things to so many people. Is that when it comes time for you to give out, it is virtually impossible. There's no way that you can continue to serve from an empty bucket. The 3rd John 1 in verse 2 says, "Beloved, I wish above all things that you may prosper and be in health, even as thy soul prospereth." Now, that's a mouthful in itself because I know, like many of us, we will continue to go even when we don't feel well. Can I just say that I'm guilty? I've been there and I still do it to this day because I know that there's some things that I need to get taken care of and that kind of stuff. However, I have gotten better at prioritizing self care, meaning that it's okay some days that I just take a time out, that I shut my computer down, that I put my phone on do not disturb, and I go and I get some rest. Or I may go and get a massage. I may go get my favorite lunch, something that allows me to reconnect with the goodness that I have on the inside. Self care is not selfish, it is stewardship. And one of the greatest misconceptions among purpose driven women is the belief that caring for themselves is somehow selfish. So many women have been conditioned to believe that everyone else comes first. Rest is optional, exhaustion is normal, and burnout is the price of impact. But the Proverbs 31 woman teaches us something entirely different because the Proverbs 31 woman is productive, she's influential, she's a builder, a wife, a leader, a visionary. Yet, nowhere in scripture do we see her operating from depletion. And so, back in, we would say, the olden days, women would take months to prepare themselves. They would sit in, oils and myrrh, frankincense and myrrh. They would, lavish themselves with the best of everything. The Proverbs 31 woman understood a powerful kingdom principle. You cannot effectively pour from that empty vessel, as well as God never called you to destroy yourself while trying to fulfill your assignment. Now, you may hear a little stress in my voice on today, and that is because of a respiratory thing that I have going on. However, I deem this uber important because one thing that I do know is that while practicing self care, and although it's not selfish, it allows me to be able to help someone else. It's not always about me, but it's about the purpose, it's about the mission that we're called to serve. Now, I do know that God called you to steward yourself so that you can sustain your assignment. And with doing that, man, does that give you a lot of great purpose. However, the problem is that many women are running on empty. Many women are trying to build businesses, ministries, families, careers, as well as communities while neglecting their health, emotional wellness, their spiritual renewal, their physical energy, and their mental peace. And over time, they become frustrated, overwhelmed, exhausted, and discouraged, not because they lack purpose, but because they lack replenishment. The enemy knows if he cannot stop that, he cannot. I'm going to say that again, that he cannot stop your calling. He will attempt to exhaust your capacity because tired people often make poor decisions, as well as exhausted people often abandon great opportunities. And burnout people, burnt out, often shrink back from assignments that they were born to fulfill. However, the Proverbs 31 woman protects her capacity. And this is where it gets real good because we start to now see how it's important to create boundaries. It's important to sometimes set time aside for yourself. The way that you do for everybody else, you want to make sure that you're doing that and you're setting you as a priority for once. Now, I know for many of you, you high achievers, you see level women, those that are doing some amazing things, the Proverbs 31 woman understands that stewardships include yourself, right? You're not just merely managing money, you're managing energy as well. And you don't simply build businesses, you build stability. And also, the Proverbs 31 woman understands the assignment is important, but so is the vessel carrying it. So is this thing that you're housing, right? Taking care of you allows you to be able to operate at peak performance. Your body matters, your mind matters, your emotional health matters, your spiritual health matters. Why? Because God intends for you to be effective for the long haul, not just for a season, not just for a sprint, but for a lifetime of impact. I cannot stress that enough to you on how that is super important. And here's your edge: great women understand recovery, right? I quite often like to say, it's okay that we normalize therapy, psychology, right? Going to go and talk to someone when necessary. It's okay to prioritize getting some workouts in. It's also a good thing to prioritize our spirituality as well as eating the right things, right? Feeding our temple. It's okay. I'm going to say that several times today because some of us feel like we need permission to take time out for ourselves and practice self care. And why am I talking about this at the beginning of the week? Why? Because somebody didn't do it last week. So this gives you the time now to go ahead and plan it out this week. Go ahead and put some time in there, right? The world glorifies hustle, God glorifies stewardship. Even Jesus withdrew, right? He said, I'm going to go and I'm going to take some time out, right? Even Jesus rested, and even Jesus spent time alone with the Father. If the Savior of the world needed moments of restoration, why do we believe that we're exempt? The Proverbs 31 woman understands that rest is not quitting. I am not telling you to go and shut the door and close everything off. I am saying to prioritize it, right? Plan it in there so that way there's no guilt, there's no shame, there's no anxiety around you taking some time for yourself. Rest is preparation, and self care is not a weakness, it is wisdom, right? So the Proverbs 31 woman knows that recovery is part of the strategy because greatness is not built by those who never stop. Greatness is built by those who know when to replenish. And of course, I always like to give you a modern day story. And talking about the self care code on today, imagine a woman named Monica. She was successful by every outward measure. Like she was doing some amazing things at the height of her growth in her business. She was, doing things to make the business successful. She had a growing business, the ministry, she had growing responsibilities, but internally, she was exhausted. She slept poorly. She ignored her health. She skipped time with God. She neglected her own needs. Eventually, her body forced her to stop. Anybody ever been there? Where you were forced to sit down somewhere and get the rest that you needed. Well, what she thought was a setback became a revelation. She learned that sustainable success requires sustainable habits. Now, let's say that again because that's real good to me, right? She learned, Miss Monica, that sustainable success requires sustainable habits. So she began walking daily, right? Getting up from your desk or getting out of your office and going to take a nice walk. 10 minutes doesn't have to be an hour, it doesn't have to be 30 minutes. Sometimes that 10 minutes, that fresh air really does help you out. She drank more water. She started setting those boundaries and she started prioritizing prayer and protecting her rest. Within months, her clarity, her confidence, and her effectiveness increased dramatically. Why? Because she finally realized that self care is part of kingdom stewardship. And I just want to tell you that that is where we can stick a pin in that. We can draw a line in the sand, but that is where we start, is realizing that self care is a part of kingdom stewardship. And we've got to get better on doing that. How many people get those vacation days, but those vacation days are filled with other things that we're doing for everybody else? We don't take proper vacations. We don't take a few days off here or there like we're supposed to. I just want to remind you that it is important that you do that. And thank you so much for all of you that are joining me here on today. I do this every single week with sharing a part of the Proverbs 31 Woman Code. Go ahead and share this live. Go ahead and tell somebody else to join in as well. Because one thing that I do realize is that as Proverbs 31 women, because we have so many hats that we wear on a different day, sometimes multiple hats per day, it is important that this is our lifestyle and that we so gladly do the things that we have that's on our plate, right? Serve with passion, that we serve with true joy, and that we show up being our most authentic self possible, right? Self care is physical stewardship, it is sustainable living, it's energy management, as well as self leadership first. So let's talk about the three things that we can do to help us to operate at our optimum performance. Number one is going to be auditing your energy. Ask yourself, what gives me energy, as well as what drains you? Only you know what those things are. Put those down somewhere so that you can make those a priority to go towards the things that give you energy and maybe cut off some of those things that drains you quite often. And then the next question is, what have I been tolerating for too long? Sometimes there's some things that we keep putting it off, and all of a sudden it just stares you right there in the face, right? Let's make sure that we're taking care of those things. You cannot fix what you refuse to acknowledge. That's number one. Number two is schedule restoration time. This is where the Proverbs 31 women understand self care. Put restoration on your calendar, right? I tell everybody I live by this thing, right? My calendar in my phone, I live by it. So therefore, there's time set in my schedule for me to practice self-care. So whether that is your prayer time, your working out time, your reading, your rest, and your reflection time, sometimes just sitting somewhere and meditating with your thoughts, spending time with that, untangling all of those knots that you have there is a real thing, and it allows you to get real results. If it's not scheduled, it does not happen because we're always trying to find time to do those things that is not going to happen because we don't have enough time and enough hours in our day or enough time left on the calendar to begin with. But if you schedule it in, oh yeah, it works out so much more better. Number three is establish one new boundary. That's right, just one. What happens is that so many of us get up in the morning and we have 5 to 10 things that we want to get done in the span of a day. You've got to ask yourself, is that realistic? Because for some of us, yeah, that is just way too much. What is the one new boundary that you can establish that's going to allow you, first of all, to get some of that time back? And then, secondly, what is going to be that thing that's going to allow you to now elevate and take your time management skills to the next level? Every great woman eventually learns that your access must be managed. Who has access to you? Who has access to your calendar? Who has access to your time? So you want to make sure that you're protecting your peace, you protect your energy, as well as you protect your assignment. What are the things that you're assigned to that you can show up a little bit better for? Can you imagine that if you were operating at 100% of your peak performance, how much better you'll feel, how much more joy you'll have, how much more energy you'll have? Man, it could be game changing, right? So I want to make sure that you are making this a priority for you is the same way. Now, I always like to give some journal prompts. How many of you are still writing in those journals, right? Go ahead and put me, me, me. If not, go ahead and pull out a journal or a notebook that you can write in, that you can spend some time with your thoughts. That's a great way for you to work on self care as well. Our journal prompt for this week, number one, is going to be, what area of self care have I neglected the most? Sometimes, yes, going to get your nails done, going to get a pedicure, getting your hair done, all those things are super important. But what else brings you joy? Because if that's not a realistic thing for you to take out time to do because of money, because of the time, what else, right? Sometimes just sitting with your favorite fruit, sitting, some time with watching television, go ahead now. I know some of you like to scroll on your smartphones, right? If scrolling is a thing for you and that brings you joy, looking at all those, funny videos and the reels that's being put out, put that on the calendar and make it a priority. When I find that when we finally get the time to do some things, it's an afterthought, right? It's what's left over. But can you imagine when you start to prioritize it, how much better that feels? It will definitely do wonders for you. Number two is, how would my life improve if I treated myself as a steward instead of an afterthought? It will definitely allow you to be able to see how life is just so beautiful, and how taking out time for self care allows you to really step things up, right? Really optimum at that peak performance. And then, number three, what boundaries do I need to establish to protect my purpose? For many of you, you have some great things going on and a lot of things that you want to take care of, and your purpose that you have in your life. There's so many people depending on you to be super amazing, right? That business, that leadership role that you have, being that wife, that mother, man, that in itself has a lot of weight on your shoulders. However, when you can do that from a place of peace and pure servitude and just having some joy around that, it allows you to really go after it with your whole heart and not an afterthought, right? Not saying, oh, come on, let me go fix you some food, or let me get in here and go wash these clothes. No, it's an honor for you to be able to do that. There's some people right now that wish that they were in your position. They would give their right arm and left leg just to have the opportunity to do what you do, to serve and to give and to show up as an amazing business owner or a leader in the workplace and doing the great things that you're doing. However, let's not neglect ourselves in the process so that we can protect that, right? That we can continue to keep harnessing that as well. Now, our daily affirmation is this, and of course, I want you to repeat after me, is that I am a wise steward of the life that God entrusted to me. I'll say that again. I am a wise steward of the life that God has entrusted to me. I honor my body, renew my mind, protect my peace, and position myself for sustainable impact and lasting legacy. If you just said that, man, way to go. Because as you can tell, just in that small statement, there's a lot of work to be done. But then also, when you start talking about, I honor my body, I renew my mind, I protect my peace, I position myself for sustainable impact and lasting legacy, that means that you are indeed a Proverbs 31 woman and that you understand the assignment, right? So go ahead, pat yourself on the back, right? Go ahead and pop those collars today because you are going after it. And can I just encourage you? Look, knowing that the self care code is all about prioritizing you, go ahead and I just want to tell you to accept the opportunity of job well done because you're doing it. You're already making it look good. It's just sometimes just those minor little things, there's tweaks that need to come along that's going to help you to continue to operate at optimum speed. So don't be too hard on yourself. Give yourself some grace if you haven't been doing it, but this is your reminder to go ahead and put it on the calendar. So our word for the week is going to be stewardship. The woman who learns to care for herself is positioning herself to care for her on purpose. And our meditation scripture for the week is going to be Galatians 6:9. Be not weary in well doing, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not. And I just want to remind you that the Proverbs 31 woman was not powerful because she did more. She was powerful because she managed what God entrusted to her wisely. This week, remember, your health is a part of your wealth. Your peace is a part of your power, and your restoration is a part of your strategy. And the more you steward yourself well, the more capacity you create for the greatness, the influence, and the impact that God has already prepared for you. And in my close on today, I want to leave you with this powerful reminder. You were not created to merely survive life. You were created to shape it, to love it, to maximize it to its best potential. You were not called to shrink. You're not called to settle or spend your days wondering what could have been. You were called to build and be a great steward over all of that you've been entrusted to lead and to influence, to leave footprints so deep that generations after you will benefit from your courage, your obedience, and your faith. How many people are benefiting because of the work that you put in, because of the love that you share, because of the leadership and how you show up on a regular basis? Don't take that lightly and don't take it for granted because all of us are given great opportunities to be amazing on a regular basis. So the Proverbs 31 woman was never created to be ordinary. She has always been intentional, resilient, and wise. And most importantly, she understands that every season is preparing her for something greater. So this week, I challenge you. Matter of fact, I double dog dare you to Embrace the shift, right? Protect your peace, honor your purpose, and steward your gifts. And remember that every small act of obedience is building your future you may not see fully yet, right? The world doesn't need another woman trying to fit in. They don't need you trying to be like everybody else. The world needs women who are willing to fully become who God created them to be, authentically, unapologetically, and matter of fact, being unstoppable. I find that a lot of times the thing that stops us really is us. So today, I believe the woman that is showing up as the Proverbs 31 woman in her lifestyle, in the marketplace, as the powerful woman that she's created to be in the home. I believe that woman is you. So I just want to say thank you so much for spending some time with me today and listening to this message. Every day is not going to be our best day. We're not going to always get it right. But for the things that we can do, the small things, a lot of times, the one or two changes will make a huge difference, and it allow us to really be the best versions of ourselves that we can be possible. So I just want to encourage you to continue to keep going. Let's go ahead, put some self care on that calendar and make it happen. So, if this message encouraged you, even though my voice is not the best today, go ahead and share it with another woman who needs this reminder. It's okay if it's not always perfect. Sometimes we're waiting on the things to line up for us to get started. Well, can I just say, go ahead with the 90% that you already have and make it happen. Matter of fact, you can start with 70%. It don't have to be perfect, but start somewhere and don't stop there. Don't just stop by you doing that one thing. Continue to join me again next week as we continue our journey through the Proverbs 31 Woman series, where we are uncovering the wisdom, the strength, the leadership, the wealth building principles, and kingdom strategies that empower women to live boldly and leave a lasting legacy. Until then, stay connected. You can also follow me on social media for daily inspiration, leadership insights, wealth building strategies, biblical principles, and powerful encouragement at drtabitharussell.com, as well as on social media at I am Dr. Tabitha. So remember this: you're not waiting for your next season, you're preparing for it. You're not overlooked, you're being positioned. You're not finished, but you're just getting started. Until next time, keep building, keep believing, keep becoming, and keep walking boldly in the purpose that God designed specifically for you. Take care, and I look forward to connecting with you again on next week. Take care.